Good morning. I'm Candida Basilio. I am Democratic Services Oversight. I'd like to start the meeting with election of the chair for this meeting.
I'll nominate Councillor Baxter.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, Councillor Batstone, over to you.
Thank you. Welcome. Good morning and welcome to this meeting of the licensing panel. I am Councillor Ron Batstone and I am the chair of the panel. Councillor Diana Lugova and Val Shaw also join me today on the panel. I have a few statements to make before we proceed with the meeting. Please can everyone ensure that all mobile phones and any other devices are switched to silent during the meeting. In the event of a fire, the Democratic Services Officer will lead attendees outside the building, where they should remain until directed to return. The meeting will resume once all attendees have returned to the meeting room and are ready to continue. If you have a question to ask in the meeting, you should raise your hand to alert me. Please do not speak unless invited to, and please do not interrupt. Questions on this before we proceed? No. That's great. The procedure for this meeting was included in the agenda pack. But ask if everybody has understood the procedure. Or does anyone have any questions they want to ask at this stage? Good. I'll now begin this item and I'll invite the licensing officer to present their report.
Thank you. You should have all received a copy of my report. I don't intend to go through it verbatim, but I wish to pick out and expand on some points just so that everybody's got a clear understanding. So on the 17th of April this year, the licensing team received an application from Catherine Bitmead to vary an existing premises licence issued under the Licensing Act 2003 for a premises known as the Farmhouse Bakery and Cafe in Abingdon Road, Steventon, which I understand is owned by Lucy Hannon Brewery.
No, it's owned by Kate Bitmead.
Ah, right, Kate Bitmead. Yeah, we didn't actually do introductions, so it might be handy if Mr. Laithwaite here, who was representing the applicant, explains who he is and his role here today.
Sure, I'm happy to do that. I think it would. My name's Will Laithwaite. I'm the owner of Lucy Hannon Brewery in Abingdon. I'm representing Kate Bitmead. I have a letter from her giving me authorisation if I need to submit that to anybody.
That's fine.
And I'm here as a prospective operator of the site, should the licence application be successful.
And the person with you is?
So I'm Colin Plucky, so I raised the objection. So
You raised the objection.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks. Yes, if you could continue.
Yes, okay. So in Appendix A of your pack, you will have the copy of the existing premises licence, which was issued in 2018. And in Appendix B is the application to vary the licence. So the variation is quite substantial in that essentially they ask for the sale of alcohol on and off the premises, 9 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night, Monday to Saturday, and till 10 o'clock on Sunday, 1 o'clock on New Year's Eve. There is a piece of legislation called the Live Music Act 2013, which impacts quite heavily on this application. This refers to what is known as regular entertainment, which is live or recorded music that is more than background. This act meant that anywhere there that either has a premises license to sell alcohol does not need a license for regulated entertainment that would otherwise be required under the Licensing Act 2003. But as long as that premises does not hold or have on the site more than 500 people at any one time, which I would submit that this premises is very unlikely to. And the exemption goes from 8 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock at night. So although you will see in the application an application for live and recorded music, they needn't have actually applied for that, except for the hours on New Year's Eve, which they wish to go beyond 11 o'clock. The other exemption contained in the Act is for anywhere that is a workplace. And the definition of workplace is very wide. So anyone working behind a bar on a premises is in a workplace. Anyone collecting glasses in a beer garden makes that a workplace. So that is also exempt for 500 people up until 11 o'clock at night. So in accordance with the requirements of the Licensing Act, the application was advertised in the local press and on a A4 blue notice outside the premises. No representations were received from any of the statutory bodies. There's 10 of them that are required to be consulted. Actually, 2 representations were received from members of the public. The applicant's agent has spoken to both parties. One of them withdrew their application, but the other, Mr. Puckey, has requested his representation stand. This means that the licensing team cannot make the decision as to whether to grant the license. So this is why it has been brought before you today. So Mr. Puckey's representation is included at Appendix C, which actually is missing the title. It's actually on page 31.
It's on the back of the details relating to the actual current licence.
Yes.
Or the application rather.
Oh.
There's my numbering, I think, is slightly different.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So it's the small 24 or large page 20. Page 31? It's like if it's set it out. There's different. Yeah. So the licensee have regarded Mr. Puckey's representation as valid. And you can take that on its merits and ask him questions on that. I'll just for his last but one paragraph, the application was advertised correctly. Whatever you think of the requirements of the Licensing Act, which state how it should be done. But they're not page numbers. Anyway, so although the council's environmental protection team didn't put in any comment, they were asked, and you can see at Appendix D an officer's comments there. I'll just state that obviously it says the suggested regulated entertainment can only take place within the building. That obviously only applies to New Year's Eve. Windows and doors shall remain closed. That was already a condition in the current licence. Signs to be displayed to encourage patrons to leave quickly and quietly, already conditioned. And there was so they are already in there. Now, the conditions in the existing licence, in my opinion, were not well drafted. There's a fair bit of repetition in there. Also, the applicant has submitted, as you can see in Appendix B, some additional steps that they were going to undertake to comply with the licensing objectives. Most of those are already in the standard conditions, except for joining pub watch. I would submit that pub at Steventon, there is not a pub watch for it to effectively join. There's no point in them joining Abingdon pub watch. It only works in a town environment. So I have taken the liberty of redrafting the conditions for your consideration, which I've attached at Appendix E. So as part of your deliberations, I would like you to go through these. They were shared with the applicant, and after I had drafted the report, he came back to me with some suggestions. So I've been unable to amend Appendix E prior to the report being published. So I'm going to ask you to consider those today. So that is number 7. It's asked that that be changed to where it says a risk assessment, a health and safety risk assessment, a opening and closing task list shall be devised for the premises, and these checked daily. And where it says the risk assessment are made available upon request, these documents to be made available.
Can I just ask if these have been shared, those proposed changes have been shared with the objector?
No, they haven't.
Right, because obviously that's just the first knowledge that anybody's got of those. I just obviously would want you to have.
Okay, I'll give them some. I'm not asking for number 9 to be changed, but I think that the applicant might wish to say something about it. I'm just going to expand on it. The outside space shown on the plan should not be used for licensable activity after 8 o'clock on any day. Now, licensable activity is the sale or supply of alcohol, and we've already covered regulated entertainment and late night refreshment, which is not applied for. So this would mean the garden could not be used for staff taking orders and supplying alcohol. This would not prevent somebody using the garden going into the premises to buy alcohol and bringing it out themselves for consumption. Consumption is not a licensable activity. Now, a lot of Mr. Puckey's representation is about noise, so I'll also draw your attention to suggested condition number 11, which is the management of these premises shall ensure that no noise shall emulate from the premises, nor vibration be transmitted through the structure of the premises, which gives rise to undue disturbance amounting to a nuisance to local residents or businesses. And the only other change that was asked for the applicant was number 14, where it says persons under the age of 18 shall only be admitted to the premises if they're accompanied or supervised by an adult whilst on the premises, was to say that this does not include staff working on the premises. So on page 11 of the report, I've attached some paragraphs there in italics, which these are extracts from the council's licensing policy, which talks about noise and disturbance. So, in respect of the licensing objectives, which are the prevention of crime and disorder, of public safety, prevention of public nuisance, and protection of children from harm, I'm asking the committee to consider the application to vary the licence, and to either vary the licence as applied for, vary the licenses applied for after modifying any conditions to the extent as to which the authority considers appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives, excluding from the license any of the activities that relate to the application, or to reject the application in whole or in part.
Thank you. Does any committee members have any questions for the licensor?
I think if they're gonna, they wanna present us something, just or.
This is
I
for the
think you're just gonna
licensing. If you've got any questions for the licensing officer who's
No,
in
no.
their report.
No, I thought we're just gonna have them at the end.
Sorry.
No,
we're one by one.
yeah, he will speak in a minute.
So that's fine, no questions. Does the applicant have any questions for the officer?
No.
Do you have any questions for the officer? So there are no further questions. I will now invite the applicant to present their case.
Thank you. Morning, Chair and members of the panel. As I said earlier, my name is Will Lake, but I'm representing Cape Town. I have a letter here. I don't know if I need to submit it for.
No, if you could just outline your position and how you come to be representing her, that'd be very helpful.
Yes, so I'm here representing the applicant Kate Bidmead as the prospective operator of the site, Farmhouse Bakery and Cafe, should the licence application be successful. A bit of background about myself. I'm a local business owner. I have experience from running the Red Lion pub in Peppard Common in South Oxfordshire and the Loose Cannon Brewery in Abingdon for the last 15 years. And I'm very proud of the fact that across both those sites, 15 years for the Loose Cannon and 3 years for the Red Lion, we've never had a single issue raised or a complaint made against us. My goal is always to run a professional, community-focused venue that people can be proud of and is an asset to the local community. And my vision for the farmhouse is no different to that. I've obviously read the report and the letter from Mr. Puckey, and I totally understand that when a change is proposed, it can cause concern. And my aim is not to dismiss any concerns, it's to offer reassurance and address them directly and try and work to find a positive way forward. So referencing the objection, I see that the main worry, I believe, was the cafe might become something like a pub or a nightclub. And I just want to clarify that that's not the case. The idea is that it'll be a food-led restaurant focused on dining, so a very different style of operation. There won't be any loud DJ nights or anything that would encourage late night sort of party atmosphere. It's a restaurant that we're hoping to open. Regarding concerns about noise, our track record is the best reassurance I can offer. The Red Lion in Pet Park has a large beer garden closer to residents than the farmhouse does. And by actively managing the space and being considerate and neighbourly, we've a great relationship with our neighbours, and we've not had any complaints there. There were questions about traffic, and I just want to sort of point out, it was a commercial bakery in the past, and deliveries would have been at all hours of the night. Early morning shifts would have started at 3 a.m. We don't anticipate traffic at those sort of hours. So I think I don't see our customers will create any greater impact than the established use of premises. And I just want to address that sorry to read that there was a lack of communication. I have spoken to Mr. Buck on the phone and apologised for that previous to today, and just reiterate my apology. It's not my intention. We are committed to being open and approachable. And it was more a misunderstanding on my part. I thought an official notification would also go out like a building application. It was just an oversight on my part, so I do apologise for that. I was encouraged in the report to see the council's own expert, the environmental health officer, stated that they see no reason to assume that the operation as a restaurant with entertainment is likely to be a problem. While suggesting some conditions, he also notes that they're not sure of the strict necessity for such conditions. So I think we're in a good place from that point of view. And the licensing officer's report on point 3.11 confirmed there have been no complaints or enforcement actions at this site since it was opened in 2018. So there isn't a history of problems there that needs to be managed. As far as the conditions that have been suggested, the main point for me is around condition 9, which is the proposed 8 p.m. condition of the garden. For a restaurant, especially in the summer, it does present a challenge to it being a viable business. It was interesting to hear the points about people being able to go inside and get their own alcohol. I hadn't realised that. But a local restaurant, a normal sitting, you would sort of hope that people would start finishing around 9:30, 10 for their food. So we do see the 8 p.m. condition as a little bit harsh. And just to sort of point out the council's policy on page 11, 3.13 condition should be appropriate and proportionate, and not attached where adequate legislative controls exist. Where I believe it does exist from the Licensing Act, where if a nuisance arises, it can trigger a review of the licence, either by the licensing authority or by responsible authorities or any other person. And it also states that authorities shouldn't impose conditions unless they are appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives and proportionate and justified based on evidence, whereas there's been no problems at the site in the past. So 8 p.m. does feel less proportionate and more of a blanket measure. And then there's also the Environmental Protection Act that gives protection as well. So I think if a complaint did ever arise against us, the council and Mr. Bucket have lots of recourse against us. But I hope it would never get to that, and we could just have a conversation and sort things out very quickly. So my proposal is a proactive alternative. I'm offering to implement a robust noise management plan as a commitment, and that would be a promise to our neighbours. We have firm cut-off for outdoor service at a time like at 10 p.m. Clear, friendly signage asking diners to be considerate. Active and visible management of the garden. Importantly, providing a direct contact number for the duty manager to our immediate neighbours. So if anything did ever arise or there was a concern, it could be sorted out in minutes. I feel like a collaborative approach would work better. The licensing officer, which did talk about the daily risk assessment on the under 18s, so just to sort of reiterate that. So really, just to summarise that, as an experienced operator who's keen to work with the community, the evidence would suggest to me that there isn't actually a problem to solve here. But we're willing to offer robust commitments to ensure one never does arise. I feel that our proactive noise management plan is appropriate, it's proportionate, and a collaborative solution. I'm asking for support to grant this variation, allowing us to build a successful restaurant that would be an asset to Steventon. Thank you, and happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Thank you for that presentation. Do the panel members have any questions?
Yes, Chair. Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Gerber.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to ask, because obviously you have experience running other, just similar establishment. Just from your experience, just did you use like live music and recorded music, or just indoors only? What's your experience about noise?
In other venues?
Yes.
So at the brewery, we do have live music inside.
Mm-hmm.
We've got houses out the back. We've not had complaints. But this application, so as was alluded to earlier, we shouldn't have put live music. I think it made a social media speculation made it seem like we were opening a live music venue. Really, what the live music was for was maybe having someone sat in a corner strumming a guitar.
Okay.
It was more for ambience than actually holding live music gigs. We don't plan to do that. It's I think we were just trying to sort of cover everything, and we were a bit over exuberant when we did the application. We're not planning on having amplified music. At most, it'll be people for diners.
Okay,
So
okay, that's the great atmosphere. Yeah, okay. And then my other question actually regarding serving alcohol like outdoors, again from your like existing, current experience, just isn't it? I just again from just from the customer standpoint, I would prefer to sit outside and have been fully served with wine and everything else. Yeah, but again from your experience, just in terms of time, kind of, just time limit, just what time would usually work for the customers,
So I think from my experience, the 10 p.m. cutoff gives us plenty of time. I think plenty of people will probably have finished their dinners well by then, but what we want to avoid is having to rush people inside before their desserts come, sort of thing. And I think it is expected if you go to a restaurant and they have an outdoor garden that you would be able to sit in there and receive table service. But as I said, we are very wary of the noise potential, and we would manage that actively. But I think 10 p.m. is the time that we'd be asking for.
Can I just clarify to this? And I don't remember from the drawing. So the garden itself, just is it on the house side or it's on the opposite side?
I don't actually know which house Mr. Tucker lives in, but the nearest house I think is about 15 meters away.
Okay.
I don't know for sure.
The house is on the one side.
So there is,
and then there is
so it's on two sides. There are houses, but the nearest one to the licensed area, I think, is about 15 meters. I can't say for sure.
Perhaps we could show there's a plan in your agenda. Actually, I don't know if it's easier to make reference to that.
28 or 35. 28 in the small one on the right hand side.
I think it might be.
Sorry, that's you're talking about the license plan. Sorry, I put in a plan.
Yes, there's a plan which shows. I don't know which is easier.
Yeah, and also 14.
Yes, which is a more detailed plan of the actual.
Sorry, 14 was that.
Yeah.
14 was the one that came in with your application.
Which set of numbers? 14.
So sorry, 14 is the small one on the right hand side, right bottom.
Oh yes. So yeah, I think there's a bit of garden that runs alongside, and from there to the perimeter, I think it's about 15 meters. I can't say for sure. And then there's a hedge,
Hedge and
and
trees.
and then I see you'll have a garden fence on the other side of the hedge.
There is parts wall and then it's
Right. So there are barriers there for sound,
Right,
and the
okay.
distance is
As if we kind of compare, like, for example, if people like, just neighbors listening music inside in the house and just music in the cafe, just what could be the difference? Would it be louder?
well.
Would
I
it be
believe
pretty much the same effect? Or like, just when
Yeah.
it's having like, just piano lessons or music lessons, just again, it creates some noise, obviously, or.
Can I just say the music is not a licensable
Yeah.
activity?
We
So
don't have
the
music.
focus on that, I think, as the applicants explained, they put that in their application, but because of the Live Music Act, that is not actually a licensable activity, unless it's after 11 o'clock at night. Or there were more than 500
I
people.
understand that,
So
but
it's
noise
not.
was part of, just one of the main objection.
But that's more likely to be noise of people. So you can't consider that because they could do that anyway. So it's really the noise of maybe and that's if we can focus on maybe condition 9, which you'd like. Obviously, you would like not to have that 8 o'clock restriction.
Yeah.
How many people are you envisaging out in that outside space? How many tables, for example, covers?
I'm not entirely sure.
Because
I
that would
say-
obviously make a difference
Yeah.
to the noise.
And that's only for summer. I
Yeah.
don't think anyone would be willing to sit outside.
Yeah, it
in
would only be
winter.
in summer,
Yeah.
I think.
So-
Yeah, and I think sound, from what I understand, sound drops 6 decibels for every doubling of distance. I think we're talking about conversation, people sitting having dinner, having a conversation. We're not talking about any rowdy behaviour or anything. If there was any, we would stop it immediately. Over that distance with a fence and a hedge, I'm not an expert on this, but I believe the sound would be it'd be a quiet whisper sort of thing. I don't think it would be that loud. I think sitting outside, currently the amount of tables there, I'd say there aren't enough. If all the tables there were full, it would probably be 20 people. But there are space for additional tables. I think you could comfortably maybe sit 30 covers outside, and not entirely sure.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I am a little bit concerned about your request for 10 p.m. cut-off. I understand your rationale for that, but even a dozen people outside talking, even if they're talking at a reasonable level, it still generates noise.
Yeah.
And if I don't know Steventon well enough to know what the background noise levels are like, whether this is just going to be, sort of covered by traffic noise or.
Yeah.
But it does concern me that if you've got sort of 20 people outside.
People could be outside anyway.
That's right.
The narrow issue is whether they could be served at the tables, which I understand why you're arguing from a sort of commercial point of view. You've got people sat there, and then you don't want to suddenly say, well, so actually now most people you've got to go indoors, and that's obviously something for the panel to consider. But they can still be outside. It's not.
Yes, I suppose so, because you have these smoking areas in the pubs, don't you? So,
yes.
It also sounds like they should eat outside.
Yeah,
still.
exactly.
Yeah. So that
It's just the level of service would be degraded.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so, but you say that if you were aware of any sort of rowdiness, you'd be.
Yeah. And if Mr. Buck called us, if something was disturbing him in his garden, and he'd have our direct number, the duty manager had their mobile number, send a message saying it's a bit loud, we would deal with it immediately.
Okay.
We want to work with our neighbours because ultimately we want the people of Steventon to be our customers. We don't want to upset anybody.
Do you have any further questions?
I mean, not question, or just probably just kind of a comment or kind of my observation. Because I mean, if people still can be outside and still, just then again, they not, they still can talk and eat or whatever. What difference then serving alcohol, just can make to the noise situation?
Perhaps you would.
Yes, it can't, but there are perfectly adequate steps for the environmental protection. So if we get a complaint of noise from a licensed premises, we work very closely with environmental protection team. We don't get a lot across the Vale of Whitehorse and South Oxfordshire, but we do get a couple a year, and we work with them. They have very extensive powers to deal with noise, more than we have contained in the licensing.
And then just again within the licensing, just can it be, just kind of, just like say, just for the period like from, I don't know, April to October, just to have this like serving hours, or just like October to March, just like other serving hours. So again, kind of, just we're talking about it outdoor, usually used during the warmer, just warmer seasons.
If you thought it was appropriate, you could put some form of condition in like that, but it has to match the licensing objectives.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could we just explore the rationale of the 8 p.m. Why that was that?
Right, that the draft conditions I've got are a lift from the existing license and the steps proposed. I have not put in anything extra, so that one was is in the existing license.
Right.
But it might be useful if I come in now, that from what the applicant has said is not reflected in the application. So Appendix B, page 16, variation 3, it was to increase the on and off sale licensing hours to allow the premises to reopen as a bistro restaurant. And the plan on the existing license, which they hadn't asked to be varied, shows, and it'll either be a red line or a black line. Yeah, on this red line on red if you're line. Looking at it electronically, just shows the building as the license area, not the garden.
That does show the garden.
So the plan shows the garden, but the licensable area.
The red box does go.
Oh, right, round the garden.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. So all the other bits that's on the plan. Right. Yeah. That wasn't clear on that. Sorry. Yes. Okay. I'll withdraw that then. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have any further questions? Would you like to question?
I've got no actual questions, but I'll just I didn't bring it up in my report, but yes, there haven't been any complaints about the existing operation of the premises, although it has been closed for a number of years. I think Mr. Puckey might expand on that. The applicant has suggested a number of additional conditions to you just now that you, as far as
can I just say, are they additional? Because there's already a requirement for to devise and implement a noise management policy.
Yeah, talking about I think it, for example, the condition about making a mobile phone number available to local residents could be an additional condition you might wish to consider.
Yes. Whether that's an unnecessary.
Well, it's something to discuss.
It's something to discuss. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I got no
questions. Mr. Puckey, would you like to make a presentation there?
Or questions at this stage? Well, first of all, if you've got any questions of the note, so it's your turn.
So first of all, thank you for having me. I'd like to reiterate Bill's point. We had quite a good conversation. We went over a lot of things, and I'll try and summarise my sort of point in two stages. One is more the impact of the business as a whole, from what it is to what it will or could be. So we've gone from a business that closes at 6 to a business that is not going to close until 11 o'clock. So whereas before, in terms of noise, in terms of those sort of factors, from 6 o'clock in the evening, everything was calm and peaceful as you'd expect from a village. On the plan, I didn't think it was massively accurate. So I just did a quick Google snapshot, so you can see where I was at the time. So this is my residence, and this is the area in question, the bakery. The distance from my garden to the car park is 1.7 meters. So having groups of people heading to their car at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, that to me is the basis for my concerns over noise. If people have had a good time, which I suspect they will, they'll be kind of happy, merry. They could be stopping for a quick cigarette or a vape, and that is 1.7 meters from my garden, which currently is not going to happen. There are no people there after 6 o'clock. Maybe there's caretaker stuff, I don't know, but that's not a concern that we have at the moment, or even when the building was in operation. So that's the difference that I see in terms of noise, and I hate to use the term public nuisance, but if we have a group of people or several groups of people, if the business is successful coming and going from evening till late at night or 1 a.m. New Year's Day, that's a difference for us. But we wanted to sort of make a point over. We do enjoy our village location, and that in the summer months obviously could curtail it somewhat. So that was really my point over noise. The actual licensing area, I think actually I agree with. Conversation, I don't think would actually reach our garden. I would be very surprised if normal conversation did. But people coming to and from their cars, chatting, waiting for someone maybe who's had to stop off a little before, that is the consideration that we have. That is less than 2 meters away from where I would be sat and my family would be sat and trying to sort of just enjoy the peace of an evening. The second main point really was about the traffic. I went and had a quick look at the Think website, because obviously we see quite a bit of things happening. Again, it's a bit of a screenshot. I apologise if anyone wants to sort of take them or have a look themselves. But in the area around the bakery, there's been four instances, one of which serious within, I think, the last 5 years. If I've got my search filters correct again, I'd ask everyone to double check that. This is partly due to the unfortunate nature of the mentality of some people in the area. So as you leave the village heading towards Drayton and Abingdon, it goes from a 20-mile-an-hour zone to a 40-mile-an-hour zone. There is a high instance or several instances of cars not being prepared to drive 20 miles an hour up until the 40-mile-an-hour zone, and they very, very dangerously and erratically overtake cars. I even had an instance of it this week on Tuesday. I was following 2 cars before we get outside of the village. The car in front decided they weren't going to wait, and they drove off at speed, overtaking the car. Obviously, the road was clear, but that's a constant concern. We as residents who are one sort of junction away from the business have constantly. And then again, late at night, perhaps dark, there's a concern there that there could be an incident with the car. If they're turning left, perhaps not looking left the second time, they believe the road to be clear. So again, it's a risk that I see, a concern that I have as a resident. That's obviously not anything anyone wants to see happen, and we've seen it happen already. So I see only a likelihood of an increase. So those really the 2 concerns I have over the business. I think licensing, actual pure licensing regulations, I think Will has a great reputation. As I said, I know several friends who very much frequent this establishment and have got nothing but praise. So from that side of things, I can't say I have an objection to what's being proposed, just with the impact of the actual business in Steventon, of the area of around us. That's sort of in summary what I would like to say.
If I could just say, in terms of highways, I do appreciate your concerns. That sort of strays outside the aspect of
yes,
what.
I suspect most of what I said probably does stray outside of this. It's just a chance to.
It's certainly that's understood. Obviously, I have to advise the panel what are the relevant considerations from a granting or varying, in this case, a license. But absolutely, it's your prerogative to beg your thoughts on that.
Do any of the panel have any questions for Mr. Burton?
Yeah, can I ask again? I have all just like sympathy regarding traffic, and it's practically the just huge issues in majority of villages, in Oxfordshire, honestly. And just people have 30 miles per hour, and then just drivers drive like 50 miles, just, and again, it's dangerous for them, and kind of, just like turn to their driveway. So again, it's huge problem everywhere. And yeah, it should be addressed kind of, just like a more systemic level. But yeah, I wanted to ask, just at the moment, just when the car, just parking on the car park, because obviously that's the closest way to your house, and just again how much noise, and you just that, or it's like background noise, or you can just it creates really like annoyance.
It's closed at the moment.
It's closed.
It's closed.
It's been closed for some while.
Okay, did you have any experience in the past with that
Yes.
relates? Or,
When the business operated as a cafe, it was obviously cars come and go. It's gravel for the most part.
Right, okay,
Obviously, noisy. It has its benefits. Obviously, businesses that no one can sneak onto a premises. So I appreciate that. But yeah, it's noisy if you're next to a car manoeuvring, or several cars manoeuvring at under 2 meters. When before it was a very peaceful, listening to some sort of birds or wildlife. It's a big difference. Is it catastrophic? Okay, I'll be honest and say it's not going to be catastrophic, but it is an impact. And if the business is as successful as we'll hope, then that will be a constant flow of cars. So it wouldn't be one car at 11 o'clock. It could be, I don't know, 10 cars every hour or something. I don't know what the flow is.
We kind of hope, just again, if people are going to go there to, just for a drink, they're going to use other, just just methods to arrive, just in a walk, or, just or cycle or whatever, where it is kind of, just the number of cars would be reduced. So overall, they would, if they use taxis, obviously it's still similar noise. But kind of, just again, like my way of thinking was, just that probably, just the local residents would go there, just like for and use like a pair.
Possibly. I mean, there are 3 other pubs, 4 other licensed venues in Steventon, so I'm not entirely sure how many locals would go there compared to people from an outside area. That was again another point for my traffic is that in Steventon we already have quite a lot of licensed venues. Which I know 2 struggle on a reasonably regular basis to stay open. Obviously, one is the centre of the community, so it's pretty solid, and I think it's customer base. But yes, we already have quite a few of these things.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Do you have any questions for the?
I don't have any questions. I'll just make the observation, and I agree with my colleague here. Yes, you can take the use of the car park into consideration in your deliberations. You can't take traffic flows away from the venue into consideration.
Right, thank you.
Can I just maybe suggest something about the parking?
Well, in fact, we've now come to final submissions. So perhaps you can do it. That's
pick it up as part of your. Yes.
So, in fact, would the licence officer first like to make a concluding statement? And
so you've got all the information in front of you. You've heard from all parties, so that I am asking you to make a decision based solely on the licensing objectives. As I said before, your 4 options are to vary the licence as applied for, to vary the licence after modifying any conditions to such extent as you consider appropriate, and that means you can or decline to take my suggestions that I put in Appendix E, and you can add or delete anything else that you wish. You could change the license maybe to restrict the hours for alcohol sales. Obviously, we talked about regulated entertainment. That's irrelevant. Or you can reject the application in whole or in part. So that's what I'm asking you to do, please.
Right, thanks. Would the applicant like to make a concluding statement?
Sure, thank you. Just about the parking, I just wanted to make a suggestion that perhaps the parking nearest your property could be reserved for staff. They could then be trained to leave appropriately and quietly, and it would reduce the numbers of cars coming out in and out of those spaces because they'd just be in for their shift and then leave. That's, I don't know if that could be added as a condition or it's just an agreement between us and
Probably a management side of things. I mean,
no, we could commit to that.
it's outside the licensable actually.
Yeah.
But I'm
Say,
happy to
yeah,
mention that
we could say consideration should be given to parking or something. Make it a bit more general.
Yes.
Make it a bit more general. I think to to minimise disturbance to local residents.
because it's the
for
first
example, and that
yes.
would be a cover
the
all.
last.
And you know, it could expand it to. We've already got notices, I think, asking people to leave quietly, but you could put a condition in there asking staff to speak to all customers leaving after a certain time to make sure they depart quietly, for example. If the committee thought that was appropriate.
Thank you. Other than that, I hope that I've demonstrated that I'm a responsible operator and we're committed to working in partnership with the local community. The evidence of the report and our own impeccable track record shows a collaborative approach is the best way forward, in my opinion. Our proposed noise management plan is a clear and robust commitment to being a good neighbour, and it's a proportionate way to uphold the licensing objectives. We want to invest in Steventon and create a wonderful local restaurant, and I just ask that we're given fair and reasonable conditions to make that a reality. Thank you.
Thank you. Does everybody feel what they do?
Mr. Proposing. Yes.
Would you like to sum up?
No, I can just end up repeating myself. So thank you.
Right. Thank you. So is there everybody, nobody needs to say anything more at this stage. Right, we will now make our decision, and this will be done privately. So with only the members of the Democratic Services Officer and the legal officer present. So I'd ask you to perhaps wait outside, and if we just want any clarification.
Yes, has everyone? Yeah, just to add that if relevant parties could just state that they feel they've had a fair opportunity to state their cases today.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll now move to the private session.
Yeah. Can you shout on Teams when
I will
you're
do,
when you're ready?
Bertie, if we could just freeze the stream.
Right. Thank you, everyone, for returning. Following discussions with my fellow panel members, I can confirm that the decision has been reached. I need to find it. The panel hereby varies the licence as applied for, including the removal of the seasonal variations specified on the front of the current licence as follows. Conditions specified in Appendix E with amendments as follows. Condition 4 will add the sentence that this shall be clearly displayed in a prominent position externally on the premises and visible to members of the public during the time the premises is open. That's the contact details. Condition 7, the risk assessment we changed to be a health and safety risk assessment. Condition 9, the outside space shall be used on plan. We changed the time to 2200 on any day. Condition 14, person of the age of 18 shall only be admitted to the premises, we said, with the exception of staff employed and working at the premises. And we suggest on the parking that it's probably not a licensable matter, but we noted your discussions and we hope we can come to some agreement on that. Full reasons for the decision will be provided in the decision notice, which will be expected within 5 days and will be sent via email. Any party may appeal against the panel's decision under Schedule 5 of the Act. Any appeal must be to the Magistrates' Court within 21 days of the receipt of the decision notice. This has to be made in the correct manner, accompanied by a required fee. That, I think then, before I formally close the meeting, are there any outstanding questions for myself or for the officers?
And just to say, on the actual decision notice, we've removed the live music act elements. Okay. So it will be for New Year's Eve, obviously, because that's going beyond 11 o'clock. So that will be clear on the licence. Okay. Is there anything?
No, I've got no other.
Thank you, then. The meeting is now closed at 12:03.
Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stream, please.